All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope this is a great webinar for you, one of interest. And my name is Beth Christ. I'm fairly new here at the Maine State Library. And this is a topic that I'm really interested in. So I appreciate you joining us this afternoon. And thank you to Jared. He'll be co-hosting and tackling any tech problems that you have or other kinds of questions like that. He'll also be helping me with the chat. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is, I do have some slides and some ideas for you, but I also would like this to be a conversation. So please at any time, feel free just to jump in either by chat or you can unmute yourself and talk. It's great. Really welcome that. Welcome your input as well. So I think we'll get started with a poll here. Are you able to see the poll? If you could take this and check any and all that apply to you in your community. All right. So a lot of you have tourists seasonally or year-round. Here we can share the results out. So here you can see you can serve a lot of tourists seasonally or all around. That's all of you, right? And some of you also serve tourists for 1 or 2 big events annually. So we'll be talking about all of those things here today, but it's good to get that out at the outset. So cool. So with that, we'll get started. I just love this vintage postcard here, Maine Vacation Land. And I am new to Maine, and I'm loving all things Maine. So it was really great to pull this together, actually. It was fun. So we will get started. So I moved here from Colorado, so you will be seeing some examples from Colorado and also a lot from Maine and some from other states as well. So here is one great bumper sticker from the Wilkinson Public Library in Telluride, Colorado, best known for skiing. And I just love this bumper sticker. Came to ski, stayed for the library. And they do have a fabulous library should you ever be in Telluride. But I wanted to start out by hearing from you. When you hear tourists and you experience tourists coming into your community and your library, what do you see as the opportunities and the challenges too? So please feel free to unmute and to speak, or you can type in the chat. Boost membership numbers, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Andrea. Oh, interesting. Translation for French Canadian visitors. That would be a challenge. Yes. That's so, yeah, that's great. That's a great one. Very challenging. Things get very, very busy. Yeah. Yeah. With libraries that see a lot of tourists, it's incredibly difficult to staff a library when you have, your visitor numbers are 10 times what they are in one season than the rest of the year. How do you do that? Right. So yeah, absolutely. Any other opportunities or challenges? How about space? Do any of you have like just a physical space challenge? There aren't enough. There isn't enough space to get in all the tourists that come to your program. Andrea mentions we have Spanish-speaking guest workers at Sugarloaf. Great, great. Great point there too. And well-attended programs. It's both an opportunity and a challenge, right? Sometimes you may run out of room and staff for your well-attended programs. Oh, you get to meet people from all over the world. Oh, I love that. What a great opportunity, right? That's super. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, if you think of any more, please do type in the chat as we go along, and we'll be talking about these too as we go. So talking about this, tourists, they come, of course, seasonally. For many of you, for a lot of you, that's summer. Some it's summer or winter, some winter. So some mix of on and off season and maybe some shoulder season as well. Sometimes there are annual events and one-time events. Maybe there's well, we'll be talking about a big one coming up later. That's coming up next year. But sometimes there is a one-time event, maybe your town is celebrating a 200th anniversary or something like that, something along those lines. And also people might like to take a staycation. People who live in or near your town might want to come and experience it sort of as a tourist, as a newbie. So I love this. It's made out to be like a vintage postcard. This is from the Normal Public Library in Illinois. This spring break staycation at the library, right? I thought that was a nice way to advertise that. This other one here, this is great. This is from right here in Maine. The Fort Fairfield Public Library has added a Bubble Fest to its Potato Blossom Festival next month. And I would love to go. I love bubbles so much. I was so excited to see this. But what a great way to promote the library at an annual event that a lot of tourists are going to come to. So this is a great way to get involved in your local tourism events. Just insert yourself. Say, hey, the library's here too to help you out here. Let's see, opportunity. I'm catching up on this. Services we provide help position the library as an economic benefit and booster. Absolutely, right? And so the Potato Blossom Festival is a great example of that, right? The library is pitching in to help support all the tourists coming in. Excellent. Okay. Anything else on when? Do you all have any other things to add to this? I think generally most tourist events fit into one of these, or most tourist times. Okay. And so one thing that's to consider are your policies when you're thinking of serving tourists. One thing you could do is join the Maine Reciprocal Borrowing Program. And this allows anyone with a valid library card from a participating library to visit any of the other participating libraries and check out materials in person. So this is for anyone who lives in Maine. Now, not all libraries in Maine are eligible to participate because of the computer systems currently required to allow participation. So it's not like everyone is automatically eligible, but if you are interested, you can contact Marika, if you know Marika, and she can give you some more information on that. But this is a great opportunity for anyone in Maine to come to your library and check things out. And they don't need a new, oh, thank you, Jared, very much. They don't need to get a new library card unless you want them to. And then they can. But that does allow for at least tourists within the state visiting your area to get that automatically check things out. So that is one thing. Consider free temporary library cards, at least for seasonal workers. They tend to make very low wages, and it can be a challenge for them if you do have a fee for short-term library cards or guest library cards. So perhaps if they could show you their temporary residency, something with their address on it, or current temporary address, and a pay stub or some letter, the offer letter from their workplace. So that they can prove they're a seasonal worker there, but that they could get that free library card. That can go a long way to help support those seasonal workers that do often make very low wages. And offering free guest passes for computer use is a great way to support tourists. Often they just need a few minutes to do some work, or just check on an email or something of that sort. This is great. Some people still need to do some remote work when they're on vacation. If they can stop in your library for an hour or two even, and just get a guest pass that's free, and hop on the computer and do what they need to do. And here, this one is, I know, a little more challenging, but the Bridgeton Public Library here at the bottom, right here in Maine, does issue library cards free of charge to residents and non-residents of Bridgeton. So I know there is a philosophy where people who live there are paying taxes into your library. However, visitors of any length of time are bringing income into your community. They are supporting the economy. So you could use the argument like in that way to say, well, they're not paying the taxes. However, they're here and they're bringing their economy, or they're helping our economy. Oh, thank you, Andrea. And I'm just using examples that I found. This is not, I should have mentioned this up front. This is not meant to be, this is all the libraries in Maine that do this. No, not at all. I'm just showing some examples that I happen to find. So thank you very much. So that's great. So I know the free library cards for everyone is more challenging, but do consider it as an option. And one way to go is to, Andrea, Carabasset Library as well. Yeah, that's great. So one way to go here is to connect with visitors before they even arrive in Maine, right? Here's the Jessup Memorial Library. This is from their website. This is great, both the image on the left. I don't know that I'd advise reading a book while rock climbing. Seems a little dangerous to me, but anyway, it's a great visual, right? Is it not? And so they have this right on their website. If you come to Bar Harbor, come to our library. This is what we have for you. They put it on their website so people can find it before they even get there, and they can work it into their plans, right? This is great. And I will also call out my lovely colleague here at the Maine State Library, B.J. Jameson, who gets a lot of tourists from out of state coming looking for genealogy help while they're in Maine. And so she's thinking in terms of how potentially, genealogists coming here, wanting to come to the library can connect before they even get here, to make that connection early on. So whatever you can do online, reaching out, we'll talk about some promotional measures later too. So anything like this that you can do is great for tourists. So now we'll move to promotion. Again, you all have some great amazing programs going on. And I don't mean to single out any particular ones. These are just ones that I happened upon that I thought would be particularly great for tourists. You can promote programs for all ages. Oh my goodness, if you're traveling, especially with small children, you need something to do sometimes with those kids. Sometimes you want something familiar, like a story time. If you have a story time, promote it out there, especially if you can have it outside. I know space can really be a challenge in a small meeting room or a small program space. If you can have it outside, if you could have it at a partner's venue who has a little more space, promote that. Let them know you can come here your kids can still get story time if they're missing it when you're on vacation. If it's raining, come to the library. We have a story time. Bring your antsy kids here. It's okay. You know, we've got something for them. And these are great examples here from the Veterans Memorial Library. They have an outdoor adventure club, mountain biking, paddling, hiking this summer. Great. If you have yoga, Tai Chi outdoors, like here at the Camden Public Library, promote that. I would love to do that when I'm on vacation, right? I would love to go to a free yoga class, especially outdoors. It's wonderful. And for free, right? So these are some ways that you can promote your services. And here are just some more examples. Here's the Storytime example. Bangor Public Library has a summer music series. Perfect, right? Would love to go to a summer concert on my vacation at the library. How wonderful is that? A talk, any kind of local interest program, authors. Here we have one from the Rockland Public Library, the Lore of Maine Lighthouses. That is perfect for tourists. Anything on local flora, fauna, hiking, boating, camping, whatever's in your area, skiing in the winter, art, local crafts, anything like that. Tourists really eat that up. And oh my gosh, it's free, right? And here's a tip. Put a donation jar at the program site. Never hurts. You just might get some cash donations in there. Here are some more ways, some more programs you can promote. If you have a story walk, perfect for tourists, or a little free library. You might even consider putting your little free libraries in tourist venues. For instance, at a state park, or also story walks goes for that as well. At a ski resort, anywhere where there are tourists, these can go, and it's really easy. So here, just to, I know a lot of you have story walks and little free libraries, so just a few examples here, but these really are great. Any other programs? Oh, astronomy programs. That would be amazing. Oh my gosh, you know, I'm moving from an area that had extremely high light pollution to one that has very low light pollution, and astronomy programs here are just amazing to me. And they are going to be to many out-of-state tourists. If you can have a free astronomy program, promote the heck out of it. Really. Tourists would just love that. Are there any other types of programs that you have that you think tourists might be interested in and you could promote? And again, and I know some of you are just joining us. Feel free to unmute to speak, or just type in the chat, either one, if you have anything to add. Craft programs, always popular. You're right. Especially if it's something local, you know, has a local flavor of some kind, that would be great. But yeah, on those rainy days, people need somewhere to go, and that would be perfect. So that's a great example. All right, well, if you think of any others, please keep typing them in the chat. You can also promote your space itself. Nature walks and scavenger hunts. Great. Thank you, Andrea. Perfect. Right? Nature walks and scavenger hunts. Those are wonderful. Tourists would love those as well. You can also promote your space itself. There's some of the most beautiful libraries in Maine. They're just gorgeous. So you could promote them for the architecture themselves. And again, I mentioned earlier, but remote workspaces, if you have those, some space for people to stop in and work. Maybe they really have to do a project for 4 hours. Gosh, if you could provide a space with them for free Wi-Fi, something where that's comfortable, promote that if you have that access. If you have something outdoors, promote that you have Wi-Fi outdoors, especially if you're in a community where there isn't a lot of Wi-Fi. Promote to tourists that you have it, including your outside access. Here at the Curtis Memorial Library, they have this lovely outdoor sitting space where people could come even after hours when the library is not open, and they could come here, use the Wi-Fi, have a nice place to sit and get a little work done. All right, same with outdoor outlets. If people need to sit there with a laptop or a cell phone and charge. You can also, again, promote your library as a rainy day place, or some people just want a quiet place to sit and have a nice little hideaway on their vacations. The library is perfect for that. And also mobile printing. Gosh, some people may want to print a boarding pass. They may need to print something for work. Or what have you. I mean, who knows? People have a lot of printing needs. If you have that, promote it to your library or promote it to tourists. Oh, great. So we're going to talk about that library exhibit here in a minute. So that's great. That's nice. So you did a staycation of sorts, which is super right here in Maine. That's great. Thank you for that example, Andrea. And Cindy says Amazon return labels. That's great. Yes, people will need to print those. And Jared, oh yes, great. Cooling stations during heat waves. Great point. Excellent point, everybody. Great ideas. All right, so how can you promote? We have some examples from, again, Colorado. These are from Vail, huge ski resort. And here they have, this is a big resort within Vail, the Lions Square Lodge here on the left. This is a flyer that they give to their guests in the hotel. And there it has, like, here are all the things going on in Vail today, and it includes the story time at Vail Public Library. So if you have a resort, a hotel, or any kind of venue in your area that puts out one of these, be sure you're on it. Partner with them, say, we have great activities to offer for tourists. Let's get our information in there. If you can work with them to do that, that would be great. And here, this is in the whole Vail, Vail is very high end, and it has this glossy magazine. And so in there, it has the column from the library. It's great. So you pick up this very fancy Vail tourist magazine, and you can find out all that the library has to offer for you, right? It's great. So again, work with all kinds of tourist venues to get your promotion in there. And we have, this is an even bigger one. I'm not actually sure how they got this one done, but this was in US Airways magazine. I was on a flight and I saw this. I was like, oh my goodness. So I cut it out. I was so excited. Here's the Mesa County Libraries, which is in Colorado. So this was a really big spread that this Mesa County in Western Colorado put in US Airways magazine. And they had this column on the libraries, which is fantastic. So again, if you're there, if you are connected with your tourist organizations, tourist bureaus, resorts in your community, you can connect with them and get the word out. Yes, Andrea, thank you. That a good place to publicize is the local Chamber of Commerce website. Thank you. Excellent. Definitely. And the other Andrea says you're going to be installing a water bottle refilling station soon. So that's super great example. Very helpful for tourists to have that. Any thoughts on promotion? I'm going through this kind of quickly. Local bulletin boards. Yep. Campgrounds. Nice. Yeah. So how do you reach out to campgrounds? Well, that's going to be a little tougher because there'll be different different types, state parks, national forests, national parks. So a bit challenging, but you could reach out to those places separately, probably local ones as well, private ones. So yeah, it would be challenging, but I think you'd have to. I'll look into that. It's a good question. U.S. Postal Service has a nonprofit board. Absolutely. Local community Facebook groups. Super. Yep. Great ideas. If you have a transportation center, for instance, ferries, trains, anything where people are taking big transportation in and out of, visitor centers. If you can get your library programs and services and spaces in the visitor center, that's great. Anything like an equipment rental store, where it's skis, boats, kayaks, whatever people rent in your area, marinas, even restaurants and local businesses, just plaster things around in your local businesses wherever they'll let you post, and hotels, for sure, hotels and resorts. Yeah. Something else you can do is lend things, sort of the library of things idea. So you can lend a lot of things. And again, this kind of goes back to who gets a library card in your community. But even people who pay certainly for a library card, a temporary resident, or a sort of a longer term visitor, if they decide to buy a membership, in a short-term membership in your library, you can still lend things like this. Again, the library in Telluride here on the left has these pink bikes, and you can just check out a bike, and that's great service, and it's free. Just need a library card. And then here on the right is the Katahdin Gear Library, which is great, and this is for a fee, but still the value of it is phenomenal. And the library there is a partner on this. So something like this is a little, well, it's a lot more extensive, but even if you do this on a much smaller scale, you can see the types of things here that that they rent out: canoes, kayaks, paddleboards. But even if you could pick one thing, maybe you have snowshoes or fishing equipment, something along those lines, or a badminton set. That's fun. Anything along those lines that you could circulate from your library. And here we have a few more options. Any kind of pass, museum pass, state park pass, museums, nature centers, anything along those lines. And a lot of you have a lot of passes already, which is fantastic. Again, with the sporting and camping equipment, telescopes. I know some of you do circulate telescopes. That is amazing for tourists. And bike repair kits, really needed for a lot of times for those tourists. And probably plenty of other things. What else do you already lend that you think tourists could be interested in? I did just realize these are all very outdoorsy things, but there are a lot of other things you could lend too that wouldn't be quite so outdoorsy and still very useful for tourists. The games and puzzles, absolutely. Audubon backpacks, great. I love these. Games and puzzles are super for that rainy day. You can take them back to your hotel room, your Airbnb, and just do them at your leisure. definitely. Or, again, for antsy kids late at night, sometimes that's just what you need. The hotel. Those are great. Ideally, I guess in the larger vision of things, if you could lend things out like this, and promote it out and have visitors say, I came to this town because I knew I could check out a telescope from the library. That's why I chose to come to this town. That's when you really start seeing a big return on your investment here. And not to put competition between Maine communities, I didn't mean it like that, but really, if you can show, if you have a patron that says that to you, that says, wow, because of what you offer, I came to this town and I'm staying here overnight because of this. That is great economic development right there. You have done a tremendous service for your community by doing that. Oh, Andrea, I love a gold sifting set. Hotspots, medical supplies through another nonprofit. Great. Oh, I just thought of a metal detector. That would be fun too. But yeah, hotspots, that's a great idea. Tourists, if they're going out in the remote area with no Wi-Fi, that could be huge for them. Yeah, great thoughts. All right. And you can display it too. Have displays in your library that will capture a tourist's attention. This one here, it's ironic. It's the Bates Technical College Library in Washington State, not Lewiston, Maine. But here's a great display that they have up, books set in Washington, right? This is great. Have any kind of local interest, local collection displays. You can do cookbooks. You can do flora, fauna, authors, local authors, Stephen King, anything local. How about folklore, folk art, anything, maps, hiking maps. Could do a great display on that. Anything that would catch a tourist's attention and say, oh, I want to know more about that. And even if they don't check it out, they could still sit there and browse for an hour and learn a lot about why they came there, whatever it is that drew them to Maine. Genealogy resources for sure, right? A lot of people do travel for genealogy. Oh, I know my great-great-grandmother came to Maine from whatever country, and so I am here looking for information, genealogy information for that. And any kind of free tourist info they can take. Maybe you partner with your visitor center to get a nice little display going. So maybe they get a state map and a glossy Maine tour book, and then anything local from your local Chamber of Commerce or Tourist Bureau, and then just have those out. Just little free sign, free, take these. It's great. So you have a display right now, hiking, fishing, and biking in Maine, and some fishing books just went out, some summer folks. Perfect. See, that is great. I love that. Wonderful. Yay. All right. If you have any other displays, we'd love to hear about them. And here are just some other things that if you don't have them already, you might consider trying for to support tourists. EV charging stations, right? These are big ticket items, but we have some in Maine right now. Here are a few examples. The Scarborough Public Library actually has one that's solar powered. Very cool. And the Wells Public Library is just installing one here in the photo. Those are great. So that is a perfect thing to draw tourists to your library. They need a place to charge their car. Hey, look, I'm here at the library. I'll just stop in, right? And you definitely get that in your visitor center. You promote that like crazy and get the word out. They'll come. Again, free tourism information. Have tourist referrals there at the desk. Sure you already do that, but maybe have make it a little more intentional, or make it work with the visitor center on that, perhaps to get some additional materials. Walking tours, someone mentioned that earlier, so that's a great idea. Or even virtual history tours. You could do this online as well. Free paperback books here on the photo on the left. You just have a shelf with free paperbacks. These are ones your library is already reading. Just like free, take one. This is good for everyone, right? Not just tourists, but everyone. It's just good to take and go. Same with little free libraries, of course. And also you could provide a list of rainy day activities at your library in a way as well. Oh, Jared mentioned little free libraries, yeah. So just a few ideas of things also that you could do. Have you had any further thoughts on things you already do at your library, or with ideas that you have to do for libraries or do for tourists? Sunscreen. Oh, bug repellent pumps. Oh, that's a great idea. Love that, Andrea. Thank you. Yes. Sunscreen and bug repellent pumps. Excellent idea. Super. Is there such thing? Probably. I've seen sunscreen anyway in large containers. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Super. All right. And some other ideas here. Actually, I do have a few more. Oh, Deb says you can order them with your logo. Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's a great idea. That really is a great idea. Thank you. Some other thoughts. Here is a town scavenger hunt. We have an example on the right, community-wide scavenger hunt. And this was for National Library Week. Tourists would love this sort of thing. They get to know the community. You can come up with some creative things where they would learn a little bit about the history, or maybe the flora. You can really get creative with this. This could be really fun. You could even have one for different ages. And I must say, I love this also partnership among these 4 libraries. This is really great. So all sorts of things you could do with a town scavenger hunt. You could have a trivia night that's all local trivia. Again, tourists might find that interesting. They might learn a lot. Have bike repair stations. This one on the left is at the Folger Library. Have one outside your library. This is a tremendous service to tourists. They're riding by on their bicycle, they got a flat tire, or they need some adjustment made. Here you're providing the tools they need right there in front of your library. It's a great service. Bottle filling station, someone just mentioned that. If you can have one outside, that's even better. It's a little harder, but at least have one inside. And if you can come up with a way somehow to facilitate locals interacting with tourists in a nice, friendly way, maybe you have some really great volunteers who might even want to be like a town ambassador, and you could have them meet up with visitors at the library, and then they could go on a walking tour or something like that. But some way to provide some interaction, because I know a lot of tourists do like to meet locals, but it can be difficult when you're a tourist, just to walk up to someone and say, hey, tell me about your town. But if you can try to facilitate that, again, that's a great value added service. We partner with the Record Center and Historical Museum to sponsor. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, that's wonderful. See, and that's a great, 2 great partnerships too. Wonderful. That's great. Love that. So yeah, also reach out to those partners who do that. And speaking of partnerships, I have a list of possibilities here, but please also type in others that you think of. I just have a few here. I won't go. The only one I think I'll mention is the scenic byways. That could be a really interesting one. And I haven't connected here. I connected with the one in Colorado. And they were really interested in working with libraries. If your library is on or just off of a scenic byway, contact them, let them know that you have services to offer. It is a great way to cross promote with scenic byways. It's a great national program, and they do sometimes have some funding too. So reach out to them, see what you can do, at least to cross promote. It's great. And I would love to know who else you partner with that would fit into helping with tourism. So feel free to type that in the chat. And I can make these slides available. I should have said that too, if you want the slides. Any other partners? Okay. And then track it. So there are reasons to do this. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you could have just a very simple guest book for visitors. Hey, if you're from out of town, please sign our guest book. And you could have the pin, stick a pin in the town where you're from. We have an example here from the Charlevoix Public Library in Michigan. They have 3 maps. They have the US map, then they have a map just of Michigan and a world map. And they ask visitors to pin where they're from. And the guest book and the pin on a map is great to show to your board, to your governing body, whoever that is, to any kind of municipal or county organization, your visitor center, your tourism bureau, potential funders, and say, look, tourists come to the library. We are already supporting them. We could do even more with your support. We could do more with another part-time person. We could do more with additional Saturday hours. We do these astronomy programs. They're so popular, but with only 2 telescopes, it's really limiting when we have a lot of tourists. If we had another 2 telescopes, that would go a long way. So all of these ways you can use this to show how much you're supporting your local economy, and use it to try to support tourists even better, right? And in the part of that too is you're also any kind of additional services that you're able to provide, it's to the good of everyone, all of your full-time residents as well. It benefits everybody. And I love this from the Curtis Memorial Library, we heard. So they have this great Robert McCloskey exhibit up right now. And this is just from 2 days ago. They posted it. And I love this story. Isn't this great? And they posted it on their social media. They've tracked how many people from out of state and even out of the country have come to the exhibit so far, and they're posting it. And you can use this story, first of all, the story and the statistics to help you get the extra funding, get that extra telescope. You can work with your funders, your governing agencies, and this can actually go a long way. So I know it's impossible to track how many people come into your library who are tourists, but these are some ways to give you some sort of concrete numbers and stories around that. Another way to support tourism is go to the source. You can assist the hospitality industry directly. So on Digital Maine Library, we have Gail's Hospitality, Tourism, and Leisure Collection. You can promote that out to all the partners that you saw before. Anyone in the hospitality industry, resort managers, hotel managers, your tourism bureau, your visitor center. Let them know, hey, we have this great collection. We have, oh, are you thinking of starting a restaurant? we have this entrepreneurship collection online and it's free. We can help you. Maybe you want to provide, promote that out to the hospitality industry in your area, provide some training on these resources. You can host a hospitality job fair, perhaps. Gosh, the whole world is hiring right now. We're all short of staff. Have one specifically for hospitality jobs. That could go a long way. Host an event just for high schoolers on career opportunities in hospitality. You could have businesses and colleges there, colleges with a hospitality track. And then there's the Maine Tourism Career Center. They might be a good partner on this. So they're all about trying to fill all of these empty jobs right now. And so also, going directly to the source and helping them might be a benefit. And you can actually go a step above. I was really impressed to find this Drummond Public Library in Wisconsin is their town visitor center, one and the same. And of course, this takes extra work and extra space, but perhaps you could do this on a smaller scale. You could partner with your visitor center to be like a mini visitor center, or just to assist them and let them know, hey, our main visitor center is here, but you're in the library, and so we still have these services to offer, sort of like a mini visitor center. So if you are interested in something like that, contact your local visitor center and see if you could be like an auxiliary or something like that. And here is a huge opportunity for Maine libraries. The total solar eclipse is coming next year, April 8th. Here is the eclipse track path through the state. Your communities will get a lot of tourism from this one event. Not a question of if, it will happen. So you can capitalize on this. The Chris Dorman, yep, absolutely. So contact Chris Dorman. The StarNet folks were here doing a training recently, or 2 trainings recently. They have this amazing website here, the StarNet Solar Eclipse Activities for Libraries. They have tons of resources for you to prepare for this. The Lithgow Public Library here on the right, this is a photo from the last solar eclipse that was in Maine. Oh, thank you, Jared, for her email. So here's the really good little pinhole camera that the library staff is assisting patrons with. There are so many ways you can get involved with this and promote this out and serve your tourists that will be coming to your library April 8th of next year. It's a huge opportunity. You can order your solar eclipse glasses also from StarNet. I think they still have some, but they will be going fast. So do that soon. And it's also something to prepare for. It can be overwhelming. Yeah, definitely consider how you can do that in a balanced way. Yeah. And I'll just leave you here with some lovely beach libraries. We have 2 ocean beaches and 1 lake beach here. These are just beautiful. So just something to dream about. Or perhaps do yourself. You could have a little pop-up library on the beach. But we have time for questions and discussion. Please do feel free to unmute or speak or type in the chat, either one. I hope that everyone has come away with at least one idea of something they can do to support tourists or promote or partner or something like that, work with tourism in some way. But would love your questions and ideas too. Do library staff drive around and drop off flyers, calendars at local stores? Some do, yes. Some do for sure. It's a great volunteer activity, actually. If you have some eager volunteers who have a car and don't mind doing that sort of thing. Probably it's best for the library staff to call ahead first, make sure it's okay to post, and then you can give your volunteers a list of the places to drop off those flyers. That's a great question and a great idea. Anything else? Well, I'll ask this too. Is there any one thing in particular that you have an idea to do in your library now, or that you already do that could fit in this?
Here on Shabig, it's a little different because we are on a smaller island. We do drive around. Our staff does deliver flyers and things around because it does give us an opportunity to, catch up with some of the places around the island that we may not get to interact with. So I do think that getting out there whenever possible, not just for volunteers, but for the staff, is an exciting way to sort of interact with the community if possible. And then we are fortunate that we are able to do outreach around and also support, some of these events and things because we can, leave the library and do a little program with the inn or the historical society. We can sort of get out a little more probably than some of the bigger libraries.
Thank you. That is an excellent point about connecting, using this as an opportunity to connect with your local businesses. And other organizations. That's a great point. And it's great that you do the outreach. That's wonderful. Yeah. All right. We'll give it just another moment or two. Otherwise, I'll give you 5 minutes back in your day. And we're thinking this might just be one in a series on tourism. Not sure what it will all look like. If you have any ideas, or if there's any way we can particularly assist you at the State Library in supporting tourists, please do let us know. That could help shape what we do going forward on this topic. But we do hope this is just the first of other opportunities on this topic. Oh, you realize you're not part of your local Chamber of Commerce. Great. Oh, super, super. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much, and have a good afternoon. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope you go away with some good new ideas.